The Fred Decker is the director. He co-wrote the screenplay. The only other movie of note that he directed was RoboCop 3, which, let me tell you, wasn't the best of the RoboCops. And then the other co-writer of this, which I found very interesting, okay, is Shane Black. Do you know the name Shane Black?
I do not.
He had himself a hell of a 1987 because he co-wrote this, and he wrote the screenplay for Lethal Weapon, the first Lethal Weapon movie, which was a huge success. But he sold it, and when he sold it, he put in the contract that he would be allowed to be an actor in an action movie, and they gave him the part of Hawkins, the guy with the glasses from Predator, from the original Predator. That's Shane Black. All of this happened in 1987. Now, Shane Black would go on to have an actual real career, like the cult favorite Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. He wrote and directed Iron Man 3. He's done a lot of good things. This is a black mark on his name. This movie. And I think that I know it fit what I feel like it was going for, or what I feel like it actually should have been, is a TV pilot.
Yeah.
They are not interested at all in giving you any background story, any real characterizations, anything that actually makes these people. Because in a pilot, you don't need to do that. You're going to do all those things in the subsequent episodes. Just give me an overall feel of what's going on in the pilot episode, and we'll move on from there. But this is a film where I need to know and care about any of these characters, and I don't, because you haven't done anything to do all those things. So we're going to go through this, and we're going to identify all of the things that are blatant ripoffs of the Goonies, and B, why this is a pilot episode, and also why the movie is terrible, and why I'm very, very sad just to report that the movie is bad. So I wanted this to be good, guys. You have no idea how badly I wanted it to be good.
You extended Schlocktober on the belief that this was probably going to be good, and
I wanted to do a live episode, our very first live episode, as a celebration of this movie. And after watching it, I was so depressed. I was like, I can't go in front of the people live and tell them how bad this movie is. Nobody would like that.
Heartbroken.
The movie starts with like a little crawl thing of like, 100 years ago, Van Helsing and his followers tried to kill Dracula and stop an amulet from destroying the world. They blew it, is what the final thing says. And then it shows us this happening. But the first thing it shows us is a really terrible model up on a hill of a castle. And then apparently it goes inside the castle. And it's under the basement of the castle. There's lots of caskets. One of the caskets opens and some fingers crawl out. But that's not Dracula. I don't know who that was, but we never see that person again. I don't know who that is. Dracula is a bat on the ceiling, but I don't want to talk about the bats on the ceiling. I want to talk about the armadillos on the floor. Did you happen to notice, Kate, that in lieu of rats, I don't know if like you're not allowed to film with rats in whatever backwoods country they filmed this. They're not rats crawling around. Those are armadillos who are indigenous to the American Southwest and parts of South America. They do not live in Transylvania. What was the idea? Because they're only shown really like backlit and silhouette, but they are unmistakably armadillos. Did the producers think, well, the people watching this will just assume they're very big rats? Because they're not. They're armadillos.
I will say, having lived in New York, I have seen rats that size in the subway, but they are also armadillos. They look different than rats. Mm-hmm. It was a weird choice for a rodent vermin-esque takeover, as armadillos are just kind of there, I feel.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, Dracula.
I just also love that you got to say the sentence, I don't want to talk about the bats on the ceiling. I want to talk about the armadillos on the floor. Like that, you're never going to say that in your life again, probably.
No, I was waiting for the day, and it
And that's today.
So there are all these bats on the ceiling, only one of them that's very large, and it turns out to be Dracula. And he transforms into Dracula, and he's standing there. It's a full Bela Lugosi costume. Like, this is the thing about this movie is very interesting, is that like these are if you asked a child who was into old classic monster movies, I want you to draw Dracula, and they would draw this. But Dracula doesn't necessarily have to cosplay as Bela Lugosi's version of Dracula. That's just how empty this movie is. They have no actual thoughts of what Dracula might look like. This is just he's got the cloak with the big thing and he's got the bling and the red vest, and like it's very odd. But when he stands,
was, an acting standout throughout this. I actually really liked his Dracula. I thought it was good.
When he's standing there in his basement, there's all these bats flying around him, but they're not. You can see the strings. They're rubber bats. Somebody above him is just doing
you legit can see the strings. So it was kind of at this point where I was like, I don't think Monster Squad was supposed to be a parody of itself. And because I don't remember seeing this as a kid. I was born the year this came out. I'm sure it was like on and I'd seen it, but because I've always been a scared little weirdo, I probably was never like actively seeking it out. But I was like, oh, I thought this was like a sincere movie. I didn't think this was like a parody, but like between the armadillos on the floor and the fingers of someone that we don't see or get revealed to us, and the presentation of Dracula and seeing very visibly the strings, I was like, oh, is this like tongue-in-cheek? I thought this was like a sincere effort. It was a sincere effort. This was just not very good.
Yeah. So anyway, Van Helsing and his boys are storming the castle. They cut it pretty short. Two guys like roll a thing of dynamite. Will not be the last time we see dynamite used in this picture.
Spoiler.
Behind the door, the portcullis, which explodes and allows them to get in, and they get in 4 minutes to midnight. Hurry up! Well, like honestly, I don't know, what were you guys all doing? You hanging out at the pub in Transylvania, like, well, almost midnight. We should probably get down to the cat. You could have showed up whenever you wanted, man. But apparently they're like, well, no, we cut it too close. It wasn't like they were fighting through an army of demons to get in there. Like they could have shown up whenever. But Van Helsing, old guy, says, bring the girl. And there's a barefoot peasant girl, 15 years old, and she's reading something, and he just keeps yelling at her, read, or we're all gonna die. No pressure, old man.
Maybe I would be able to focus on the words in front of me if you weren't yelling at me.
He's literally in her ear screaming for her to read faster. And there is a vortex that opens up, and it sucks all of his friends into it. And also Van Helsing. I don't think it does the girl because we don't see her later, but maybe it does. I don't know. I forget. Who cares? But we know one thing. It does not actually. What it's supposed to do is supposed to like put Dracula up there. The only thing we see him do is like Van Helsing's got a wooden stake on a crossbow and shoots a vampire lady in through the heart with the stake. And so there we go. That was 100 years ago.
RESPECT. Click the subscribe button and find out what it means to me. Nah, that doesn't have a ring to it. But if you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.